for us to really have justice in forensics, that we need systems of repair. Repair is a theory that looks at what happens, how a system responds when an error is made, when there's a breakdown. Your values as an institution come out in how you fix a problem. And so to do that, I hope that the City Council could consider extending those local laws 85 and 86 from 2013 to NYPD and establish some system of duty to correct and notify. So the duty to correct when something goes wrong and the duty to notify all impacted people. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony as well.
Good morning, Chairperson Salam, members of the Committee on Public Safety. My name is Bruce Bryan, and I'm a client advocate at the Queens Defenders. Prior to this role, I was wrongfully convicted and served 29 years in New York State prisons. And I just thank you for the opportunity to speak today. But before I begin, I wish to commend the New York City Council for overriding Mayor Adams' veto on the How Many Stops Act. Your leadership on this issue is an important step toward protecting our city's marginalized communities from over-policing and abuse by law enforcement authorities. I'm here today to offer my story as an example of how nefarious tactics in the police investigations do not serve public safety. They only create wrongful convictions and an adverse relationship between the police and the community. The Innocence Project has notes that Black people account for 40% of approximately 2.3 million incarcerated people in the United States and nearly 50% of exonerees, despite making up just 13% of the United States population. This is in large part because they are policed more heavily, often presumed guilty, and frequently denied a fair shot at justice from the time of arrest ongoing. My story in wrongful incarceration for nearly 30 years echoes these statistics. My life could have and should have had a different outcome, and I am calling on the New York City Council to take action to prevent the practice of NYPD officers being given carte blanche to lie, to manipulate, and deceive people who they are interviewing. When I was 23 years old, I was arrested and charged with a murder that I did not commit. There were multiple things that the NYPD did during that arrest and investigation that contributed to my wrongful conviction. When I was arrested, I was represented by counsel who specifically invoked my Sixth Amendment rights. Despite this, I was still placed in an in-person lineup without my attorney being notified or present to protect my rights. As a result of that lineup, I was misidentified as the perpetrator in charge, beginning a 29-year nightmare that finally ended when I received executive clemency from Governor Kathy Hochul last year. In my case, the death of a young person occurred because of a drug-related shootout. This involved multiple parties firing numerous shots. I was not one of the shooters and never possessed a gun that day. Despite this, the NYPD only collected 2 shell casings that were used to incriminate me. There's no doubt in my mind that this was an intentional and selective act by the investigators who were intent on pinning this crime on someone. Further, 2 of the people who identified me had an extensive criminal background. They were compensated by the NYPD to make identification, and there was never a credible or reliable witness in my case. In fact, they had strong motivation to please law enforcement by telling them what they wanted to hear. Now that I've had this experience, I am horrified to see so many other young Black and brown people having their rights violated during police investigations, and tragically and irrevocably interrupted through wrongful incarceration. On the state level, we are seeing momentum with the Challenging Wrongful Conviction Act and the Right to Silence Act, which guarantees legal counsel to juveniles. Here in New York City, we can and must enact meaningful legislation to ensure that another life is not lost to a wrongful conviction and protect the rights and lives of Black and brown residents who are so often victims of deceitful and nefarious police tactics. Today, I am working as a client advocate at Queens Defenders, leading innovative youth programming for our young court-involved clients that helps them make better life decisions and pursue meaningful and engaging educational career goals. We also work to ensure that young people are made aware of their rights under the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments and understand how to have safe interactions with the police. Programs like ours can only achieve so much without legislative action that provides police accountability and protects against the absolute injustice of incarceration for a wrongful conviction. I can only hope that we can collectively work together to protect the next generation to make sure our system is fair for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony and welcome home.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you all for your testimony. Appreciate it. And again, anyone can submit written testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov as well. So next panel, we'll hear from Sergio Del Pava, Ingrid Jean Baptiste, and Beth Schwarz. You may begin, Sergio, or, okay.
Sorry. And I've been a public defender in this city for approximately 30 years. Now, this hearing is rightly about our immediate present and one hopes our immediate future, but I do want to shift the focus a little bit to a reckoning with our past. And what I mean by that is a lot of the reforms that have come up during this hearing are laudable ones, certainly beginning with discovery reform, the granddaddy of all of this, but including things like videotaping confessions and the use of double-blind principles in identification procedures, and of course, body cam footage. All these things, it's important to remember that these are all very recent development in our system. Even discovery reform is not even has its 50th anniversary yet, and these other things that we're talking about are even more recent and even younger practices than that. So when I say taking us back to the past, I want you to think about the decades of convictions that were secured in the absence of discovery, in the absence of interrogations being recorded, in the absence of body cam footage and surveillance footage, things like cell site that could have established people's innocence. Those are decades of convictions. I think we can conclude with a moral certainty that a significant percentage of those were wrongful convictions. I think we can conclude with a moral certainty, unfortunately, that a great many people right now, as we conduct this hearing, are rotting in prisons, our prisons, for crimes they did not commit. Now, our office has been one of the driving forces behind something called the Challenging Wrongful Convictions Act, because in addition to the decades of really scary types of convictions, New York happens to have one of the most abysmal statutory schemes for addressing wrongful convictions. A scheme that our highest court has said does not recognize innocence as a basis for relief, a statutory scheme that does not give those working to challenge their wrongful convictions the access to an attorney or the discovery. Challenging Wrongful Convictions Act would address all of that. This council last year created a resolution, 479 of 2023, urging the New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign the Challenging Wrongful Convictions Act. Unfortunately, perhaps in a bit of complacency or overconfidence, because it did pass both houses last year, that resolution was never passed. So I'm calling on this body to resurrect that resolution, to put pressure to the extent we can on Albany. As I said, it passed both houses, and the governor ultimately gave in to fear-mongering at the last minute and vetoed it. I think this is the year that we need to not just do what this hearing is doing, which is think about our future and how we can avoid wrongful convictions, but this is the year New York really has to get serious about addressing its wrongful conviction problem. Remember, third in the nation in wrongful convictions. So this is the year that New York County Defender Services and myself and we hope this council can get serious about addressing this moral injustice. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Hi, my name is Beth. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Hi, my name is Beth Schwarz. I'm going to be changing the subject from what most of this hearing has been about. I have lived in Manhattan for all but 10 of my years of my life, and I raised my visibly Jewish family on the Upper West Side. My husband and son wear a yarmulke, and we have never felt unsafe here as Jews until October 7th, when Hamas terrorists viciously murdered over 1,200 Jews on the holy Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah, perpetrating the worst violence on Jews since the Holocaust. Since that day, New York City has been
I'm sorry.
subjected. Excuse me?
We have to keep on topic for the hearing today.
Well, it's about safety. We were told we could, yeah, okay, Mr. Holden says we can. Okay, so this is about safety. It's not specifically, I need to set up what the problem is. Since that day, New York City has been subjected to constant aggressive and threatening protests by anti-Jewish protesters. They chant slogans that call for the destruction of Israel, the world's only Jewish state. They chant for globalized violence against Jews. They destroy property and aggressively approach people who are visibly Jewish. Just last night, there was one of these aggressive protests at the 92nd Street Y for the sin of hosting Barry Weiss, a Jew who, like over 90% of all Jews, believe that Israel has the right to exist. The protesters were chanting, "Murder Barry Weiss," and called Jerry Seinfeld, a known Jew, a Nazi as he left the building. These protests have created a feeling of lawlessness on the streets, and it feels like it's open season for the Jews in my neighborhood on the Upper West Side. Last week, I saw a group of high school girls yelling "Free Palestine" and an older man wearing a yarmulke. I recently heard from a friend's daughter that she was walking home with her roommates on a Friday night from a Shabbat dinner, and a man in a mask followed behind them yelling "Free Palestine" for 10 blocks until they arrived at their building. I see posters of kidnapped Jews being torn down every day. Jews should not be harassed or worse on the streets of New York City. These illegal protests need to be shut down, and people who do not follow the law need to be arrested. The city needs to stop giving these Jew haters a free pass. I'm calling on the city council to please make sure that the New York Police Department enforce laws at these protests to ensure public safety.
Thank you for your testimony. And I'd just like to remind the public that we have to stay on topic with regards to wrongful convictions.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to continue through the folks who have signed up. We're going to be going through names alphabetically as well here to try to ease things. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you. We're going to take testimony from folks in person and on Zoom, so wait to hear your name. We'll hear from Andrew, followed by Deborah Block. If you're in person, please come up. Okay. And then followed by Neil Berry, who will be joining us on Zoom. So Neil, if you're available on Zoom, please be ready to go after these folks.
Yeah, go.
Who are you? Can you identify yourself?
Yeah, my name is Christopher Leon Johnson. He said, open anybody come up, right?
No, I think there was.
But I don't think they're here. I mean,
Andrew and Deborah Block, if you are available, can you please come testify?
oh, sorry about that.
Andrew and Deborah Block, if you are not here, we're going to move on to the next folks. Neil Berry on Zoom, are you present? Andrew's here. Okay, I'm sorry, Andrew. Andrew will go to you, followed by Neil on Zoom. Sorry about that, Andrew.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
You may begin, sir.
Okay.
Just press the button to make sure people can hear.
Is that good now? Can you hear me? First, I want to apologize for what happened to you and your family members by being wrongly accused, so I first like to apologize for that. I would like to talk about the NYPD because the NYPD talks about how they like to assist people who are wrongly convicted. Now, I've been terrorized by a couple of people in law enforcement for years. In Chicago, I was assaulted. In New York, I was assaulted. And for some reason, in both states, they don't want to give the police report or the body cams once when they assault me. I applied for it, and they keep denying me the body cams and police reports, which shows that they're trying to hide something in 2 different states, New York and Chicago. So that's why I want to ask for an investigation, because I'm being terrorized every day. And when people are being terrorized, like Kim Groves, she had filed a complaint against the police. The police had her executed for filing a complaint against them. So I too might be executed by police because they like to execute people for no reason at all. This guy named Philando Castle was executed. According to the New York Times, he was followed around by law enforcement for 13 years, and they executed him. So I'm asking for an investigation because police, they like to terrorize people, they like to do bad things, and since I take pictures of them following me around, since 2013, I lost every job I ever had, every job I ever had since 2013, and that job I had in 2013, I held over 10 years. But after that, I lost every job since I take pictures of the criminals that's following me around. These are covered people in law enforcement. So I'm asking for an investigation to go on because, because I feel that they're gonna murder me too, like they did to Philando Castle and Kim Groves.
Thank you for your testimony.
Sure. And can you give me the defense lawyer name? She was saying that the people were only convicted and they were evicted from their homes. She was like a defense lawyer.
You might be referring to Councilmember Caban, if that's who you're... Councilmember Caban is the former defense.
Because it's hard to understand you with the mask.
Councilmember Caban.
Okay.
Councilmember Caban. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Neil Berry.
Good afternoon, I should say. Yes, I just want to thank the council, city council, and USAF and a few others that have done some advocating. I'm part of vocal voices of community activists and leaders. I was directly impacted by mass incarceration. Yeah, a lot of things were said that I don't want to repeat. I don't believe in evaluating repeated things around racial recognition, racial profiling, so very racial system, the history. So there's nothing new, and to say that those didn't happen before 1988 or 1980 was an embarrassment for all the people who were sitting up there during time, because what Sergio said, these processes and these procedures were not there. In 1988, I was arrested in Brownsville by 4 white officers. I was accused of felony robbery with a gun. I had never had a prior history. I worked in Wall Street 12 years. I was 33 years old at the time. I never had a record. I had moved to college. I had succeeded on Wall Street. By the time, in 1988, when that happened, 4 white officers told me I deserved what I got, just based on my background. I was one of them niggers that was uppity, according to them. And that's what they categorized me, from the process of getting me arrested to the process of getting me to bail. They set a high bail, which I was unable to make. I had a mother and father who just discarded the fact that they were family orientated, but any contact with the law, because they were military and Catholic, decided not to support me. I lost my family, I lost my apartment, I lost my car, my girlfriend. So my trajectory changed from zero, once I got incarcerated. I was traumatized for a period of 20 years. I suffered alcoholism, homelessness, and many other, integrity-wise. These officers never even attempted doing an investigation. These officers were promoted. I went to trial with one witness who was a material witness who was a drug user, and I didn't blame him. He was a material witness. I mean, he had to come to court. He came to court on the last day of testimony from the defense.
Time expired.
And I was guilty on a repugnant sentence, and that repugnant sentence could have been reversed by that judge. but at the recommendations of the police officers and the DA, systems can do better, but don't talk about the people who have been wrongfully convicted years and years ago. I'm fighting Wrongful Conviction Act in Albany. We just passed it twice. We're going to try to pass it this year, or once I should say. We need the governor.
Testimony.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to invite up Charles Bornskarer and TJ Cohen and Celeste Garson. If you are present, please feel free to come up. Afterwards, we'll turn to Tanisha Grant, who is on Zoom. So Tanisha, please be ready after these individuals speak. Thank you so much.
No, I'm not submitting, I'm just going to speak. Hi, my name is Celeste Garson. I'm here again to really talk about public safety and not feeling very safe right now in New York. I'll try to stay on the topic and be respectful. I work in the school system, so this is something that's very close to home to me. And I actually took time off to be here today, so I hope you'll give me a few moments to read my testimony. So as I mentioned, I've been feeling anxious and unsafe living in New York City since the Hamas barbaric attacks on Israel on October 7th. I've been shocked by some of the protests celebrating what happened, calling for genocide of Jews and expanding their movement as they feel empowered and not held accountable for their actions. I lived in New York City for 53 years and have never experienced this feeling before. I would ride the trains at night, walk around the city being proud of my religion, and now I'm conscious about who's around me and fearing another protest. I've often felt trapped in my car when I can't escape, when there's a protest in the area and bridges and different streets are shut down where I'm trying to get my kid off the bus and I can't get home in time. Or when I was downtown Sunday night leaving an event and all I could hear is loud drumming and chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I can hear it from blocks away because it was so loud. My friend encountered the crowd with her 2 young children and they were petrified.
I'm sorry, but we have to stay on topic for wrongful convictions.
Okay.
I know you're talking about public safety, but this is a hearing on wrongful convictions.
Okay, well,
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman heretofore who spoke prior to this panel spoke about him being murdered and executed and whatnot and got his full 2 minutes and certainly wasn't the topic of the day. And I just want to point that out, Mr. Chair.
No, understood, definitely. I know you said public safety, and I understand exactly what.
Yeah, so I'm not feeling safe in New York. Can I continue or? Okay. So I remember being in panic after seeing footage of a pro-Palestinian rally at Columbus Circle where they were chanting, storming the building and viciously cutting down the kidnap signs with knives. And I saw an image of an older man who was slashed on the face. All I could think about is my mother, who I knew was in the area at the time. And when I got in touch with her, she said she just got out and was let out the back door of the Time Warner building. I witnessed the aftermath of a protest that led up to the mayor's mansion, where again kidnap signs were ripped down, where spray paints in front of the mayor's mansion about free Gaza right in front of the police officers with no respect of consequences. Plastered stickers everywhere saying Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, and Zionist donors and trustees hands off our universities. As we know, Zion, using Zionist in that term is blatantly anti-Semitic. If I can quote by Martin Luther King, he said, when people criticize Zionists, they mean Jews. You are talking about anti-Semitism. My friend who lives in Westchester won't even visit me anymore in New York City because she fears these protests. I even was on the phone this week with my insurance company, and the representative said that she was planning on coming to New York City for the holidays, as she does every year, but this year they canceled because they see on social media and in the news these violent protests going on, and they don't feel safe anymore in New York City. I can't even escape it. I walked by a closed restaurant storefront the other day, and spray painted in red was Free Palestine across the window.
Enough is enough already. We need to empower the police to enforce the law and not empower protesters who break the law by not having permits, obstructing traffic, and inciting violence and hate. We need to protect all citizens, Jews and non-Jews alike, from violence and disruptive behavior impinging on the rights of others. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. I just want to encourage that this is a hearing on wrongful convictions. And while we do recognize the terrible things that are going on in the world, this hearing in particular is about wrongful convictions. If we can stay on topic, that'll be perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I think your name is appropriate as I've watched this proceeding for the last 3 hours. As I know it, Salam Shalom, all mean peace. And you've proceeded over this committee with just that aspect. I hope you won't call me out of order or being off topic, because ultimately what I will quickly say comes back to everything that people were talking about today. That is wrongful convictions and misinformation about judgments in cases in courts. I'd like to speak about President Nixon. In the war in Israel in 1973, the Israelis asked for 3 helicopters. It was brought to President Nixon by Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger said the Israelis need 3 helicopters. And Nixon said, how many do we have? Kissinger said, we have 52. And Nixon said, send them the 52. And Kissinger said, well, why, Mr. President? They only asked for 3. Nixon explained that Israel was the line in the sand between democracy and autocracy and despotism that was represented from the East. That when I read the Nixon transcripts, there were a lot of unpleasant descriptions of Jews and people he was dealing with. Yet he gave the helicopters to Israel to win the war. Maybe he didn't love Israel so much, but he loved America. And he knew the line in Israel was the difference between freedom and despotism that was threatening the world at the time. That issue has still never been resolved. There are incursions to Israel from Russia, from Persia, from every country that has some influence in supplying materials to go against Israel. I just wanted to say in these protests, they seem not to have the true background of what is really at issue and what the cause of the United States brotherhood with Israel is. So when they go against Israel, they go against the United States. The United States and Israel are united in the idea of keeping a line of democracy and protection for the Western world.
Sir,
I don't have to...
While
Yes?
I appreciate this lesson in history, this is about wrongful convictions.
Well, so is this. Look at the convictions that they're causing and blaming the Jews for.
If you're able to, I guess, sum up in terms of time.
Okay, I will be happy to. Thank you, sir. I would say that Martin Luther King said, no lie shall live forever. The things that are being told and propagated against the Jews in these rallies are all lies, all. The idea of, again, Martin Luther King, who said, truth crushed to earth will rise again, meaning you can't hold down the truth. And eventually the things will come up that have been the basis of these rallies that are anti-American in the sense that it is forging a great controversy between Israel and America and the importance of this union. Finally, I'll say the last thing that I learned from Martin Luther King was the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Well, it can't be much longer. People are being killed, people have been killed, and it's time for that arc of the moral universe to reflect the truth. As far as I've been in the Jewish community, which hasn't been all that long actively, in fact, this is the first time I've ever spoken on behalf of the Jewish community, I would say that Jews' aim was never to humiliate the Islamic world, but to win its freedom and understanding.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your testimony. Just like to remind the public that this is a hearing on wrongful convictions and that we have a time in. We want to make sure that the public stays on topic.
We have in New York if there weren't in Israel.
And we maintain decorum in the.
Sick of giving my tax money to Israel, man.
Yikes.
Get enough. Killing Palestinian children.
So we have a 2-minute time limit for testimony, and the testimony is specifically dealing with wrongful convictions. I just want to remind the public that we have to stay on topic.
Thank you, Chair. Next, we'll turn to Tanisha Grant, who's on Zoom. Tanisha, I'll unmute you in just a second.
Hello. Thank you, Chair Salam Shalom, and to the Public Safety Committee for having this important meeting. So hello, my name is Tanisha Grant, and I am the Executive Director of Parent Support and Parents New York and Moms United for Black Lives New York City. As a community-based organizer and advocate for criminal justice reform, too often people in our communities are wrongly convicted. It still happens way too much in 2024. I speak on behalf of all community members, including our youth, who have been impacted by wrongful conviction. Too often, our Black and brown communities are presumed guilty until proven innocent, when it is supposed to be the other way around. NYPD officers often lie and are very insidious when handling police work in our community. We need our great city council to create legislation to protect our community members. The way things are now in 2024, the police have more protection than the public they serve. When people are wrongly convicted due to lies and evidence provided by police, there is no accountability. People are spending lifetimes in prison while being innocent. I look forward to our city council working with the communities to stop wrongful convictions. It is not enough what is being done today. The fact that New York City is third in the nation on wrongful convictions in 2024 tells us NYPD and the whole criminal justice system has a very long way to go. We also urge the Public Safety Committee to support the Wrongful Conviction Act that we have in Albany. Thank you for listening to my testimony, and we look forward to working with you to make sure that all wrongful convictions are stopped. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from, and I apologize if I've called your name already, but next we'll hear from Celeste Garson, followed by Susan Gottlieb, followed by Marilyn Gutolu. So if I repeated you, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, Celeste. Okay, I lost track of that one. So Susan Gottlieb, Madeline Madden, Gatolio, Jan, if you are present as well, and then Christopher Leon Johnson. Thank you, everyone.
And I'd just like to remind the public that this is about wrongful convictions and the NYPD, so that we can stay on topic, and we have 2 minutes. Thank you. I'm sorry, press the button. As soon as you see the red light, then your microphone is hot. It's live.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. All right. I'm Susan Gottlieb. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. New York City citizen. And I've come to express my fear about the safety. This is a Public Safety Committee meeting about the safety of the Jewish people and emphasize the importance of the New York City police.
This is a wrongful
I know.
conviction meeting about the wrongful convictions at NYPD.
New York City anti-Semitic attacks, it relates. Attacks spiked 214% in October after the vicious attacks in Israel and continue to be significantly higher than in previous years. They are nearly double the amount at this time than they were this time last year, and the fear felt by members of the Jewish community in the city are palpable. Many are afraid to wear Jewish stars, symbols, or clothing which expose our faith. On Martin Luther King Day, of all days, there was a huge angry crowd. Anti-Israel demonstrators marched throughout my neighborhood calling for genocide of the Jews and intifada, which is violent uprising. It felt like we were in Germany in 1938 instead of New York City in 2024. My neighbors were terrified. We were all terrified of the threat of violence, and we were pained that our children would be hearing hateful chants and vicious, absolute lies towards our own people by calling Israel an apartheid state that is committing genocide, while it is in reality a democratic country defending itself in a war that it didn't start. This is not an issue of free speech. It's anti-Semitic propaganda, intimidation, and threat against a minority group. And these anti-Israel demonstrations lead to anger, which can incite more physical violence and hate crimes against Jews in our cities. The demonstrators are also endangering the city by blocking traffic, bridges, and airports, and the lawless behavior could be deadly as it prevents first responders and people in crisis getting where they need to go.
Thank you for your testimony.
To address the problem of violent anti-minority crime and disruptions to critical city infrastructures by agitators, it is crucial to empower the New York City Police Department with the necessary tools, resources, and authority to stop them. The NYPD needs more authority during this time of crisis, not less. Offenders need to be arrested and held accountable. If someone breaks the law, they need to be arrested and stay in jail. Council members, please provide oversight through police activity and strengthening laws to ensure the safety and well-being of all our residents.
We have to move to the next testimony. Thank you. Shalom.
My name is Jan. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. It is heartwarming to
Oh, I'm sorry. Press the red button so that...
My name is Jan. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's heartwarming to hear about the progress that's been made in preventing unjust arrest and unjust conviction. However, some of the agreements and rules and changes in policy towards police practice and DA practice have resulted in more crime. And as you so skillfully and convincingly said, Mr. Salam, convicting people who really do crimes and preventing crime is the other side of keeping people who are wrongfully convicted not convicted. I ask of the committee members at this time of threat to the Jewish community to pursue and protect public safety, allow the NYPD to enforce existing needing to be enforced include, but are not limited to, bias incident laws, hate crime and hate speech laws, public nuisance laws, civil disorder, inciting others to riot laws, harassment and verbal abuse laws, speech that constitutes unlawful incitement, true threats, intimidation, or discriminatory harassment, felony charges for blocking emergency services, domestic terrorist charges for impeding access to emergency services. Terrorism Act 18, U.S. Code 2339B, providing material support or resources to a foreign terrorist organization, including suspension of commerce, endangering motorists, and kidnapping in a car that can't move, and verbal or physical assaults. I ask you to support that stop the NYPD from doing their job of protecting minority communities.
Thank you for your testimony.
Hello, my name is Christopher Leon Johnson, and Mr. Chair, Salam, you should be ashamed of yourself for trying to censor all the Jewish people for making their grievances about the war in Palestine, which we need a ceasefire, and we have to support Israel. We have to support Zionism. So shame on you as the chair of the Public Safety Committee for censoring the Jewish voices in this panel hearing. While wait.
Just for the record, I want to say that I'm not censoring our Jewish brothers or sisters. I actually recognize them. Shalom Aleichem. And I thank you for your testimony. The only thing that I'm saying is that this hearing right now, this hearing in particular, is about wrongful convictions. I was wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
So we're talking about wrongful convictions and the NYPD and the process and the practices that lead to wrongful convictions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about that. But why you get the other guy who was saying some nonsense, that's a different thing. Some nonsense about being attacked by cops, that's whatever. But you need to let your Jewish people speak, okay? Now, going to this about you, Mr. Salam, you know, it was sad that you lied on that cop. You know, you say you got lied on and you did time in prison for a crime you didn't commit. Now, you lied on a cop in Harlem saying that he said ABCD, which wasn't true, and you told everybody gonna talk about the 80s. Now, what happened if in the 80s you did that same thing, you was a council member, and you leveraged your rank, and you did that. I'm a councilman, and you leveraged your rank, and that cop got for doing it. Yeah, you lied on the guy. You could have got. Why you did that? Why you allowed the cop to try to push a stupid agenda called how many stop sack? And you said that how many stop sack would have saved your butt from being so-called wrongfully convicted of your crime. That's ridiculous. It's bullcrap, bro.
You know, I don't appreciate being personally attacked. But thank you for your testimony.
No, wait.
His time is up, so thank you.
You gave him a lot of time to speak, and I'm going to say this right. No, you gave him a lot of time to speak, bro. Wait, you gave him a lot of time to speak. And I'm gonna say this one more time. Wait, before I go.
It's only 2 minutes.
You need to resign as chair. You need to resign as chair of the Public Safety Committee. You need to resign, bro. You need to resign as chair. You need to give it to Kamala Hanks because
I don't appreciate the personal attacks.
No, there's no personal attacks.
Thank you for your time.
Man.
Thank you for your testimony.
Attacks, man. You gave him no time to speak. Why you can't give me the time?
What you're seeing, and I just want to say this for you to understand.
Yeah.
There is something called Biniso, Jiriso, Boloso, Sodai.
What the hell is that?
It means that when you see something, like I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
And obviously, anyone would look at you and say, this is a black man.
Yeah, you're a black man too.
What I'm saying to you is, we're talking about wrongful convictions and the NYPD. And I appreciate the fact that you also represent the Jewish faith.
I'm not a Jewish guy, but
well,
I support the Jewish people, so.
Okay, and I appreciate
unlike
that.
you, I mean.
What I'm saying to you is that I'm looking at you from your front.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked at the side or the top or the bottom to understand more about what you're saying. You are talking about something that you saw from the front. You weren't there to see all of the other sides, nor did I provide testimony to that particular end. So while I appreciate what you're saying, I do not respect or condone you specifically trying to threaten me.
I never threatened you.
While we're talking about wrongful conviction.
I never threatened you, man. Like you're
lying.
You're lying on the cop and you lied on me. This is the thing.
Like this is the thing.
That's why you need to resign as chair. You lied on that cop in Harlem. Now you lied on me on camera. Like so now that's why you need to resign, man.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from Elder Mitre, Coral Mell, and Jerry Prawling. So that's Eldar Mitre, Coral Mell, and Jerry Prawling. Thank you so much, everyone. You may come up if I called your name. You may go ahead.
I can start?
Yes, you may.
Hey, how y'all doing? Condolences to the Jewish families and also to the Muslim families. I was wrongfully convicted on December 12th I was arrested illegally December 12th of 2012, the day before the Sandy Hook shooting. and I was found guilty for assault on a court officer. This happened at 346 Broadway, and when this happened at 346 Broadway, there were cameras within the vicinity of where the incident occurred. The cameras were not given to the DA. The NYPD never did a full investigation. Court officers just arrested me, charged me with assault. I was found guilty for assault, and I didn't even touch the officer. Now, there was video camera footage that would have exonerated me from that assault, but that video camera footage happened to be destroyed purposely, and till this day, I'm trying to seek justice pertaining to that incident. I've been currently fighting against the criminal justice system, NYPD, for a long time, and I've accumulated approximately 80, probably 90 cases, and I've beaten majority of these cases. You could say 85 of the cases I have beaten. Just recently, I was assaulted by an officer. I have video footage of this in the Bronx. I was also assaulted by officers trying to make complaints. My tooth was knocked out on February 13th of 2021. I believe 2020. I'm not seeing any justice pertaining to any incidents that I've gotten involved with law enforcement officers. And the panel here that was representing NYPD, they were giving you information that is not actually accurate. The internal affairs, they don't even investigate the cases that we bring towards them. CCRB, when you give them, when you make complaints through them,
Sir, we have to.
They would find blame on the officer, but they would forward it back to the commissioner, and the commissioner would get the final say-so, which means that the CCRB organization can't actually.
Sir, I would like to speak to you more about what you're saying, but we have to wrap it up. So we can be in contact with you. My office is here with us in the room, and we can definitely take more of your testimony so that we can assist you in helping you to find some type of recourse.
Okay. I just wanted to put I just found out the Internal Affairs Bureau, when I went to their actual building, I've made approximately 247 complaints. I haven't gotten a call back from the Internal Affairs Bureau for any of my complaints. They've been ignoring me, and I've been doing things the right way. I've been creating a paper trail. I've been also highlighting a lot of inconsistent behaviors on part of the NYPD, dealing with various different issues, with various different individuals that have gotten into confrontations with NYPD and who were arrested falsely by law enforcement officers.
So, sir, we are at time, and I would like to definitely
if I'm able
continue.
to possibly speak to you,
Absolutely, absolutely.
in another setting, it would definitely be appreciated. I don't know if I could get some help from you guys, but I'm asking for some help. I've been
No,
doing
you're in
some great work.
you're in the right place to definitely put your grievances forward. We're talking about exactly what you're talking about, wrongful convictions and the practices that lead to that. And so we want to definitely talk to you more. But in the sake of time, we definitely have to move on.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from Carla Rabinowitz, who is online, followed by Sophie Sasson and Gadi Schmeider. And I apologize if I mispronounced that name. So Carla, I will activate you on Zoom. I see you're present. Just bear with me 1 second. You may begin.
I don't know. I don't know what.
Carla, we could hear you. You may begin.
Hi.
Carla, if you're having technical difficulties, we could return back to you, but we could hear you and you're able to testify if you so choose.
No. I can't testify.
Okay, apologize. Okay, thank you. Next, Sophie Sasson, are you present in chambers? No. Gadi Schmeider, if you're present. Manapui Silverman. Betsy Smolar. Are either of you present? You may come up to testify. Thank you.
Just to reiterate the topic that we're on, wrongful convictions and the practice